The criminal contempt trial of top Trump ally Steve Bannon began today after he refused to cooperate with the committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. The committee also revealed that Trump had personally attempted to contact a witness in the investigation. Despite all that, top Republicans are still sticking by Trump as he signals that he's likely to run again in 2024. And on top of all that, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin once again torpedoed the Democrats' domestic agenda in Congress. For more on this, it's time for a new segment we call, Well, that all sounds like a bummer. Oh, wait, I forgot. We already have a segment like that. It's called A Closer Look. I'm sorry. It's just we have been off for 2 weeks, and I totally forgot how the show works. Anyway, things have not exactly been going great for Joe Biden and the Democrats lately. Prominent Democrats, both outside and inside the White House, have criticized Biden's slow response to the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Serial rug puller Joe Manchin once again doomed any hope for addressing climate change or passing Biden's domestic agenda. And several prominent Democrats have also expressed frustration at Biden for traveling to Saudi Arabia, where he fist-bumped a murderous tyrant. Now, I know you did that because you didn't want to be seen shaking his hand, but a fist bump is way worse. At least with a handshake, you might think, well, it's two world leaders, like it or not, so that's standard enough. But a fist bump makes it look like he just hit a home run in the company softball game. Hey, nice one, MBS. I think this is the year we're finally going to be Dave's Heating and Cooling. Once again, as we've said before, this is a good reminder that it would be great if we could generate our own renewable energy here at home through wind and solar, so we don't have to be beholden to these autocratic petrostates. In fact, I would love to never have to say the words autocratic petrostates ever again, mainly because Wally thinks it's too long to put on cue cards. Oh, they love Wally. Again, the Democrats are in a funk right now, which is bad because whatever their flaws, they are at the moment the only thing standing between America and a monstrous gang of radical seditionists and potato-shaped goblins in the Republican Party who are actively attempting to dismantle democracy and impose an authoritarian theocracy. Really? You're making me do autocratic petrostates and authoritarian theocracy in the same closer look? What do you think I was doing during my 2 weeks off? Vocal warm-ups? An authoritarian theocracy where abortion and same-sex marriage are banned, guns are everywhere, and the only books kids are allowed to read in school classrooms are illustrated copies of The Art of the Deal. The drawings are done by Trump himself, which is why they're all in Sharpie. Oh, and the official drink of the U.S. government from now on will be a Diet Dr. Pepper, thanks to seditionist and coup plotter Sidney Powell, who was chugging them during a deposition she gave to the January 6th committee that aired last week.
Well, among the people you saw there was Attorney Sidney Powell. She was the one swinging the Dr. Pepper. Or actually, I think it was Diet Dr. Pepper.
In the short period of time that you had with the president, did he seem receptive to the presentation that you were making?
He was very interested in hearing particularly about the CISA finding and the terms of 13848 that apparently nobody else had bothered to inform him of.
She slugged that soda like she's playing quarters at a Christian sleepaway camp. I will say it's a fitting drink for her because Diet Dr. Pepper is the soda you have when there's nothing else left in the vending machine, just like Sidney Powell is your attorney when there's nothing else left at the lawyer store. Second, kudos to the editor who put that clip together and let it trail off long enough for her to take a giant gulp of Diet Dr. Pepper after she finished her sentence. Watching her chug a can of Diet Dr. Pepper was another reminder that she shouldn't be trusted. It's like if your doctor recommended surgery, then put an entire bag of Big League Chew in his mouth, you'd get a second opinion. I'd love to see the extended cut of that clip. 5 hours later, it's probably just her in the same shot, babbling about Hugo Chavez, smuggling in fake ballots, surrounded by a mountain of empty Diet Dr. Pepper cans. Also, a side note here, but when she was doing press conferences alleging voter fraud and publicly representing the president, Sidney Powell looked like this. When did she turn into Grandma Saracen? And again, as a reminder, we're a little rusty from a 2-week hiatus, which is probably why we decided earlier today, Matt Saracen's grandmother from Friday Night Lights. It's definitely a reference everyone will get. Just to give you a sense of how long ago that show was on, Tammy Taylor is now a wealthy CFO who takes fancy vacations. Lila Garrity is a mysterious young mom in East Highland. And Landry Clark is married to Kirsten Dunst. Way to go, Landry. You were always my favorite. Where were we? Somewhere fun, I hope. Sidney Powell. Also, when did Diet Dr. Pepper become the preferred beverage of unhinged pro-coup Republicans? A couple months ago, Sarah Palin, who is now running for Congress in Alaska, was talking about how she'd react to the media on Capitol Hill if she wins, and she said this.
I anticipate that when I walk down that hall to get my Diet Dr. Pepper, sure, the jackals are going to be there doing their jackling.
Man, terrible branding for Diet Dr. Pepper. This is the worst thing to happen to a soft drink since that photo emerged of Mussolini drinking a Fanta. Bad news, yeah, Sidney Powell was drinking a Dr. Pepper during the hearings. Well, could you tell it was a Dr. Pepper? Yeah, she had the label out. So the only thing stopping these nut jobs from retaking power is the Democratic Party, which at the moment is not a comforting thought. Virtually their entire domestic agenda in Congress has been repeatedly stymied by Joe Manchin, who just doomed a compromise of a bill he originally said he would support last year, even though he's the one who came up with the latest version of the compromise in the first place, and his fellow Democrats are justifiably furious at him, as Senator Bernie Sanders made clear on Sunday without even letting the anchor finish the question.
I want to turn to Congress and the agenda there. Senator Joe Manchin, of course, abruptly pulled the plug this week on the Democrats'
No, Martha, he didn't abruptly. Martha,
okay, he abruptly on Friday.
He didn't abruptly do anything.
He was negotiating for a while.
He sabotaged the president's agenda. No. Look, if you check the record 6 months ago, I made it clear that you have people like Manchin, Sinema to a lesser degree, who are intentionally sabotaging the president's agenda, what the American people want, what a majority of us in the Democratic caucus want. Nothing new about this.
But Manchin says his main goal is to do what's good for West Virginia, and he's worried about inflation. Listen to what he told the West Virginia radio station.
I love how impatient Bernie is. I'll bet he can't even sit through the previews at the movie theater. What the hell is this? I came to see the Minions perform their delightful antics. I have no interest in what's coming out next summer. If I don't hear some giggling and nonsense words right now, I'm walking out. But Bernie's right to be pissed. Who's not pissed? The fate about the planet and American democracy rest in the balance. And one fossil fuel millionaire is standing in the way. Democrats in Congress are trying to get anything done. Meanwhile, Republicans are fully embracing the authoritarianism that fueled Trump's rise and led to the coup attempt on January 6th, even as the committee investigating the coup accumulates more and more evidence that Trump and his cronies committed various crimes. Trump gave his strongest signal yet last week that he's going to run again in 2024, and Republicans are still sticking by him. On Sunday, the governor of Arizona, who has been repeatedly attacked by Trump and once said Trump bears some responsibility for January 6th, still refused to rule out backing Trump if he runs in 2024.
You told me last year on the show that Donald Trump bears some responsibility for January 6th. Do you believe his actions on January 6th or inaction should disqualify him for holding public office in the future?
Dana, I condemned January 6th, and I think everyone that broke the law should be held accountable. In our system, this is up to the voters on what happens next.
If Donald Trump runs in 2024, will you support him?
I think we will have options in the 2024 primary race. I am hopeful we will have options, and I want somebody who can win that general election because I believe with success in 2022, the general election is the Republican Party's for the taking.
I think we will have options. I am hopeful we will have options, but if not, I will get down on all fours and crawl like a dog to beg for Trump's forgiveness because I am a spineless coward. Should we maybe get Bernie back out here to yell about the Minions again? That was fun. We need to tax Gru and make him pay his fair share. The Minions need to unionize. There's nothing Donald Trump could do to lose the support of these craven dopes. In fact, just today, one of Trump's closest allies and a key figure in the attempted coup. Steve Bannon, who was caught on tape admitting just days before the election that Trump would declare victory even if he lost, went on trial for contempt of Congress. Jury selection for Bannon's trial began today.
Jury selection will begin in the trial of Trump confidant Steve Bannon. He is facing criminal contempt charges for refusing to obey a subpoena from the January 6th committee.
Now, this is not going to be your typical jury selection because most or all of the jurors will have heard of Steve Bannon or the committee. But the goal is not to get jurors who've never heard of anybody. The goal is to get jurors who can be fair and impartial.
I'm sorry, but even if you've never heard of Steve Bannon, how could you look at this guy and be fair and impartial? Even if I had no idea who he was, I'd take one look at him and assume at best he'd been arrested for stealing a seaplane in the Florida Keys or maybe illegally selling soft drinks on the sidewalk in Times Square. Hey, psst. Want a taste of the pep? Want a little pep in your step? Don't go pay those bodega prices. Get a little pep in your step. Also, if you're thinking to yourself, wait, wasn't Steve Bannon already arrested for a different crime? The answer is yes. He was charged with defrauding Trump supporters as part of a scam fundraiser to build the wall and was arrested on a fugitive Chinese billionaire's yacht by Postal Service cops before Trump pardoned him. Yet another series of words that is both insane and will be mostly forgotten to history because too much other crazy has happened. That would be like reading a history book and finding out that for a little while in his early 20s, Abraham Lincoln switched from stovepipe hats to fedoras. They call me Abe, and if I'm being honest, I love the squirrel nut zippers. You know, I burned Sal earlier because he referenced Friday Night Lights, and I said that was really dated. And then I put in the squirrel nut zipper joke. So I guess I'm the one who got burned. Bannon's trial and the revelations about his role in the attempted coup are happening as the January 6th hearings build toward what could very well be a shocking conclusion, even after all the shocking revelations we've already seen about Trump's obvious criminal liability. On top of everything else, last week the committee also announced that Trump had personally attempted to tamper with one of the witnesses.
After our last hearing, President Trump tried to call a witness in our investigation. A witness you have not yet seen in these hearings. That person declined to answer or respond to President Trump's call and instead alerted their lawyer to the call. Their lawyer alerted us, and this committee has supplied that information to the Department of Justice. Let me say one more time, we will take any effort to influence witness testimony very seriously.
I'll admit, before they started this whole thing, I was afraid these hearings would be boring, and instead we've got Liz Cheney doing teases like she's Robert Stack in Unsolved Mysteries. The President of the United States places a phone call, but for what purpose? The answer to that question and more next week on the January 6 hearings. I do enjoy imagining Trump trying to get through to a witness because you know he's dumb enough to leave a voicemail message. You know it was probably like an hour-long, hey, Mark, this is your friend Donald just calling to remind you how much I appreciate your loyalty. I like you, Mark. I like you a lot more than those nasty windmills. Windmills, they give you cancer and they kill your birds. Birds, we love the birds. We love birds, don't we, Mark? The birds, they soar through the skies majestic. It's truly a miracle of nature. I would love to be free as a bird, but instead I remain shackled here on earth, entangled. Mark, I'm entangled, Mark. Mark, I'm entangled in this web of deceit I've weaved for myself. Or is it woven? I never know if it's weaved or it's woven, Mark. I say weaved and I think it's woven. I say woven, I think it's weaved. I'm always gonna stumble on grammar, Mark, you know that. But the point is, Mark, oh, to be a bird.
Mailbox full. Goodbye.
The Republican Party has fully descended into authoritarianism, and they're on the precipice of retaking power and dismantling our democracy, which is why Democrats must do everything possible to stop them, not to mention addressing a bunch of other urgent issues like climate change. For many reasons, we need to move past fossil fuels. Hell, maybe we can make cars that run on
Diet Dr. Pepper.
We're all we're all a little rusty. You're not supposed to hear that song yet. Just pretend like you didn't hear the end of This Is Close Look. This has been A Closer Look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, get vaccinated. We love you.